Hey guys, welcome back to another Q&A. And it's not really a Q&A. This is a video for Wilder Hope Adventures focusing on what it's like to car camp with two dogs and how we sort of work the camper around them. Obviously I camp with Kai and Cody. Cody just turned 15, Kai is 12 and a half, so neither of them are particularly young. And Cody does struggle with getting into and out of the camper. So, what do we talk about when it comes to camping with dogs? So, firstly, let's talk about where they travel. So, I'm actually sitting in Kai's spot right now. She sits up here in front with me, but what she has is this harness, so which is attached to the headrest behind me, and she will wear this on 99% of trips. Like if I'm just doing a short trip to the park, I don't put her in this, but this is a safety thing. It's also an insurance thing. And then Cody has a sort of inbuilt crate that contains him behind the driver's seat, next to the bed, and in front of the storage unit. That way he's secure. It's a soft spot for him. He really has anxiety when he travels, but he's well secured in that area. He can't climb up or out of it or anything like that, and he's well protected. This is also where she sleeps. She's got a full bed here, and supporting in the footwell we have our Jackery, our extra 10 gallons of water, and a rubbish bin, which means the bed is level and it makes it a little bit bigger for her. So the amount of space that Kai has is more than enough for her. She can spread out, curl up. She knows her spot. She enjoys loading up. She can sit and watch out the window, which she often does when we're driving. And then the spot in the back where Cody is, it's enough for him to stretch out. He often will stretch out, but if he's cold, then he'll curl up. So he does pretty well in that spot, and he likes lying next to me, which is always quite nice. So we brought this up a little bit in a previous video regarding how I work the toilet situation, but of course something that's important with dogs is poop management. And obviously we don't want to get to an area that's covered in dog poop, and we don't want to leave an area with dog poop for the majority of the time, unless Cody's decided to go into the middle of a prickle bush. It gets picked up, deposited in nearest can. However, we're often in places that don't have this. And there are two ways that I manage this. One, I'll pick it up, obviously, and discard it. Two, I either hang it off the back, I tuck the bag under the rear wiper blade, or I could tuck it down under the hood and attach it to sort of the wiper blade there, just to make sure it doesn't fly off. So that's our poop management. I mean, it's one of those things you always have to deal with. The other side of that is Cody is a very anxious traveler. If we don't go out before a walk, he unfortunately does stress poop in the car, and that is something that is not the easiest thing to manage. We're often cleaning if I haven't managed to get him out soon enough. So yeah, keep some wipes. If you have a dog that doesn't travel well, keep some Dettol wipes or some cleaning wipes in your car, just to make sure that you're keeping the car clean. So one thing that I've seen come up a lot when it comes down to dogs and cars, and actually even just sleeping in your car, is the interior sensors and how often they go off. I have 3 up here between the driver's seat and the passenger seat, and even if the dogs just sort of lay down and don't do anything, they'll make the sensors go off. But this also applies to sleeping. So I think the one important thing is to learn how your interior sensors work, whether it's a button on the pillar or whether it's a double pressure for key fob, which is how it works on this car and how it worked on my Fiesta. Didn't have any issues. Some have a button up here that disable it. Every car has a way to disable those interior sensors. The only issue that I have is if I do that from the inside, double lock it, I can't get out without the key. So I have to be very careful and always keep my keys in a place I need to know. But that's also not just at night, but when I'm going shopping. If I need to pop out and go get some food, I don't want the car alarm going off and annoying everybody. So disabling those interior sensors while I'm shopping is kind of an important thing to have. So moving on from that slightly in the sense of shopping is dealing with having dogs and needing to go to the store when it's hot. And I would never plan on leaving my dogs in the car for any length of time. It's literally a dash in, dash out, preferably first thing in the morning or last thing at night. There have been occasions where I've desperately needed to pick up something and it was a stupid hot day. Cranked the air conditioning for a good 10 minutes and disappeared inside. By the time I came back out, the car was still nice temperature. But I wouldn't condone that in any way, shape or form. Don't do that if you have a choice. I am definitely going to limit the trips I make in the heat this year. If I'm looking at a heat wave, we're going to postpone. We're just not going to go. There's no point. If I need to pop to the store, the risk is not worth it to me. But it has been mitigated in the past. Park in the shade, run the air conditioning before you go in, make your trip 5 minutes or less, that kind of thing. So, and make sure it's important. You know, if it's not an important thing, you can wait, right? And then moving on from that is dealing with the cold. Kai has a decent coat, doesn't bother her much. She doesn't get cold very easily, whereas Cody does. Now he has a sweater, a coat, and now a blanket that goes over the top of him. So it's just about knowing your dog. You know, I think it's just about managing their temperature. And Cody can get cold with 3 sweaters and on, and I ended up on this last trip, even though it wasn't super cold, I had to go and buy him a blanket. So he's just well snuggled under there, even though he's got a pretty decent insulated layer underneath him. He's just old enough that he's getting cold. If you guys have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear about them, how you manage your dogs in the heat and the cold and things like that, especially as a solo person. So moving on, safety with the dogs. I'm not quite sure how to address this. Safety, obviously I keep them secure in the car. They are belted in, they are crated. I don't just let them run up to anyone. They're well trained. They are used to roaming in a small area. So I think safety is one of those things that you have to know your dog, you have to know your situation, you have to know your setup. So one aspect of car camping with dogs is dealing with food and water. So the food situation, I just have a dry bag that I just fill their food with, and then I use collapsible bowls that just collapse into nothing, that just don't take up any space. Very similar to anything you see when you're camping, you know, they just sort of collapse into themselves. And I just find that that's very useful. It takes up very little space. I still bring the cup that I use to measure out the bowls for the normal food and all the supplements and things like that. Giving supplements, on the other hand, is a bit more difficult when we're car camping. I tend to use cream cheese or peanut butter at home, and that's very difficult when we're out. So when we're out, I tend to look at buying pill pockets just to help out a bit. Water, on the other hand, you know, one of the reasons I bought a tap was to really help with how easy it was to give them some water. Saves pulling jugs out all the time. So I just pull out a little bit, and I find that I waste less water. But on a different note, when it comes to a water bowl, I don't use collapsible. What I will do is use a sealable with latches and things like that water bowl, so that if they don't drink it all, I can put that lid on and put it in the back of the car. This way we're not wasting water, because that was another thing. If they don't drink it all, I felt like I was wasting water, and we only have 20 litres available in this car. So that was the other thing, you know, it's about managing ease and space and convenience for everyone, myself, the dogs, the space that we're working in. Alright, lastly, thinking about camping locations, and I think I touched on this briefly before, was something I prioritize when I'm looking at a place to park up or camp is somewhere that the dogs can have the freedom that they need. I mean, this is always going to be their trip as well. So places that are off main roads, that aren't busy, that have places that they can go explore, trails that we can go wander down, something that's safe. There's not a ton of trash around, or needles or glass. But yeah, definitely something that is kind of a parking area surrounded by something that is secure. Preferably not a late night park up for you know, people meeting, but sometimes you end up with being there anyway. But that's the predominant thing. Some place that they can be safe. If I'm looking for campsites, obviously they have to be dog friendly. Even if it's on leash. But again, that's another reason I don't like campsites, is that they always have to be on leash. So hopefully that gives you guys some ideas about car camping with dogs. I'm sure I didn't answer half the questions some of you have, so please let me know down below if there's anything else I can help you with. So as always guys, take care of yourselves, take care of your mental health. Thanks for watching.